Okay, so good afternoon. While people keeps getting in the room and start playing the live on Facebook, we're going to start today with today's masterclass. As you know, this week was Earth Day. And in Kinich, we gather all the students and coaches, and we did a bucket list of things that we could easily do to improve the environmental issues, the environmental matters that affect us all in our daily lives. As you know, Kinich School has a big interest on talking about these issues in class. We have been having cafes with the parents. We have been having Kinich talks where students share their ideas with us about how to cope with the climate change and the climate crisis in the world. One of these tools or events that we have and manners to forms of improving is we actually have a scholarship on sustainability for students who work on projects all around the year. And this scholarship is it's a grant from Cubico. So if you know a teenager who's in age to study their high school and it's now on secondary or middle school, and want to apply for this scholarship, this could be a great moment to start with looking up and starting record their videos and all their application for this scholarship in Kinich High School. One of the events we have, it's actually Sustainable Future Ed, which last year was in Monterey. And we used some of the tools that SubjectToClimate shared with us. And this is why this session in particular is so important for us, because one of the co-founders of SubjectToClimate is here with us to share. Before we start with her, I just want to share some of the Zoom usage agreements we have for these masterclasses. If it's possible for you, please turn on your camera. If you want to participate during the session, please raise hand towards the camera or with the little button that Zoom offers down there for you to participate, and unmute your microphone while participating. While we are in the masterclass, please mute your microphone so we don't interrupt the person who's talking. Use the chat to express questions or reflections we might be asking in the session. Of course, these are invitations. This is a shared responsibility to have this as a success masterclass. Please, we ask you to be in full presence today, to be here with us, to be sharing your thoughts, sharing your ideas, and of course, taking the time to collaborate with this conversation. Please use active listening and, of course, keep an open mind during the presentation. And, of course, an open heart for all of us to share this important topic for all of us, educators, teachers, coaches, etc. Yeah, after the discussion, after the topic presentation that Margaret's going to share with us, we're going to have a questions and answers session. So this must take around 1 hour, 20 minutes. And I hope you all enjoy a lot our guest today. I'm going to pass the microphone to Eric Ramirez, who's going to introduce her to us. Eric, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is our part of our masterclasses that we have had during this year, just to present like different ideas to different teachers about how to address different topics in education. As you know, one of our principal challenges in education is so many students that are not totally engaged, and also so many challenges when the education is not making sense of what the student is living each day. That's why we partnered with SubjectToChange, and I feel that it's an amazing tool that I'm happy that Margaret is here to present, and I'm sure that a lot of teachers are gonna benefit of it. Just to remind you, everybody that is here, we are also doing a collaboration with Harvard Alumni for Education. If you are not if you can join the network of Harvard Alumni for Education as a friend or as an alumni of Harvard. We'll be happy to have you, and we'll have a lot of different events also through this network. I'm going to put the link in the Facebook page, but also here in the way, if you want to join, will be fantastic. And Margaret, welcome. Thank you for being here. I was so happy to meet you when we were together in Harvard in the School of Education. And I know that has been like 2 years or 3 years since you launched this. In that way, welcome. And if you can tell us also before starting a little bit about how you came with the idea and what has happened since the beginning until now with Subject to Change. Welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Eric, for that. So I'll actually start the story by we have the background of why we started Subject to Climate. So I'll share my screen right now. And my background, by the way, is in teaching. So I was a teacher for several years, and that was really the impetus of what started Subject to Climate, rooted really on the daily realities of what it means to be an educator. So I'm one of the co-founders and the COO. I'm so excited to share about this journey. So today, as Eric mentioned, I'll start with the story of how we and why we started Subject to Climate. Then, there's also insights on, our mission and our vision and what our goals are. Then I'll show you Subject to Climate. I know that Eric mentioned that some of you all have used it, but I'll give you all a tour of all of this. And then we'll do an activity to explore resources. And as Eric mentioned, we'll leave the ending for Q&A. So we'll get started. So really at the core of what we're trying to do is root ourselves into realities of being a teacher. So we want to make climate change teaching and learning accessible to all grade levels and all subjects. So we don't believe that climate change should just be taught in science class. We believe that it needs to be taught across all grade levels and subjects because it's such an interdisciplinary topic. And that'll help with the next generation to be inspired to take climate action. So we really believe that change starts in the classroom. But the biggest issue is, why aren't teachers teaching about climate change? So the story was that, as Eric mentioned, I went to Harvard Graduate School of Education, where I did some work on developing a climate change leadership curriculum rooted in social studies. And alongside my now co-founder was part of the Harvard Advanced Leadership Initiative as a retired business person, and also wanted to address climate change through education. So we were able to meet together in the summer of 2020, and we talked to teachers. That was the most important thing for us, is that what are the barriers that educators face when they're trying to teach about climate change? And so we realized that it's not the lack of resources, but actually several other problems that I'll go over in a bit. And it's really not, we don't want to reinvent the wheel because there are so many resources out there already. Some of the biggest issues are having the time in your curriculum and really finding the right resource that matches. So for example, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a teacher, and you know that you're very motivated to engage and inspire your students, but you have to plan for maybe like 5 lessons tomorrow. You also have a unit that you're thinking of doing and trying out for the next month. And then you have 60 papers to grade, and you have to do your home duties as well. So not a lot of time to think about how do I integrate or teach about climate change. And when we talk to teachers, the biggest thing is that, you'll look for resources, but there's just so much out there. Again, it's not the lack of resources, it's, that there's too much and you can't find a resource that fits with what you already have to teach. So that's the point of view of a teacher that we found by talking to many teachers. And so that's why we started Subject to Climate. And our goal is to connect educators to credible and engaging resources on climate change across all grade levels and subjects. So you can really integrate it into what you already teach. And that's the key, so that we don't add more burden for you as an educator, that you find things and you almost shift your mindset that, hey, this is not one extra thing to add to my plate, but this helps me save time and makes me feel confident to teach about something that students already want to learn about. So that's the main idea. So I actually wanted to show you that, where we are now. So it's been 3 years since we launched, and we have our team in 10 different countries, which is really exciting. We're a global and a remote team, but we operate mostly in the US. And so where we've focused our energies on is that we first started in New Jersey because it was the first state in the US to make climate change teaching standards across all grade levels and subjects. Then we expanded to Oregon, Wisconsin, and Maine. And this upcoming year, we're looking forward to creating, resource hubs for New York, Connecticut, and California. So that's the story of SubjectToClimate. So before we actually get started on SubjectToClimate, I thought I would do something a little bit interactive to kind of hear from you on your own experiences about teaching about climate change. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up where if you go ahead and type in menti.com, and I'll also put it in the chat. You're going, awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren. So if you click there, you'll be able to access the poll. And I kind of want to just hear from you all on do you currently integrate climate change topics in your class? Great. There's some people who are saying often, not at all. Great. Yep. I'm so excited that we're seeing often on occasion. Great. Give you all a second. So we have a big range, actually. The little balls are kind of fun. So we have, on occasion, as which is actually better than most places that we present to, we often see not at all. So it's great that you all have that head start. You all must be superstars. And I'm wondering, the next question is, how comfortable do you feel teaching about climate change? So it seems like for the majority that you could use some support. And I think that's the case for most of the time. Honestly, you all are in much better shape than most people. And so we're glad that we can give you that support. And then the next one that I want to hear from you all is, my students are worried about climate change. Right? Maybe they are not worried. Maybe they don't know about it, and that's also good to know that maybe you're not sure. We know that there are studies that show that students are increasingly more and more worried about it, and that climate anxiety is a mental health issue that's going on as well. And then the last question that I have are, okay, so some of you all teach about climate change and some of you all feel comfortable, some need more support, and you're not sure if your students are worried about it. And so now I want to hear from you, because it seems like a lot of you all are integrating climate change. What are the biggest challenges that you face when you're trying to teach about climate change? So I'll give you all a moment to do this. Give updated info, it changes so fast. Absolutely. The data that you use 5 years ago can't be the same data you use today. I love to hear from the person who wrote this to give updated info. It changes so fast. If you would like to unmute yourself and share a little bit more about this challenge.
It was me, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, this is a challenge I face when I want to talk about the environment, because I use data. Maybe I researched this early this year, and then for June, there's another study who has updated information, and there are so many sources and so different information about the environment. And sometimes we have to select who's the person behind it, like, is it a company? Is it an organization? Is it who is behind the information? And that's a good way to select what to share with the students. But yeah, it's a challenge to have the real information up to date when teaching things or when wanting to introduce the topic in a regular class.
absolutely. There has been like a history of, misinformation. So that is perfectly a reasonable concern. I also see that somebody wrote can evoke strong emotions, including fear, anxiety, not always inspire action. That is definitely something that we talked about. It's contentious in certain situations and certain environments. That's certainly true. Usage of modern technologies in the class. These are great. Does anybody want to unmute and share out one of the things that are on there? Maybe the one on anxiety and fear?
That was me. Yes, well, I believe that, I'm sorry because of the noise. I don't know if you hear it. But like particularly among young people who are concerned about their future, like I don't know how to navigate those emotions, like even for me, and give them enough information and how they can take action, like how they can be part of changes and be an active agents of change in their communities.
And thank you so much, Chris, for sharing. That is one of the things that I want to show you later on is on our site is that when we train teachers and then we work with them to create exemplar lesson plans, you'll notice that every single one of the lesson plans we have has an inspire step, because we don't want to just teach students about climate change and then say, good luck and go fix it. You're on your own. This is a big problem you have to deal with. We want to do a couple of things. We want to, one, show them examples of what other people are doing, to be inspired, or to have them be involved in some sort of action or climate action within their local communities, for example, or even a small project, so that they know that they can be part of a solution. So those are some of the things. And I see one that said use of modern technologies in the classroom. That's actually the first time I've heard that, and I'd love to hear more about that challenge that you were facing. If you want to unmute. If you aren't able to, you can always type as well. For whoever wrote usage of modern technologies in the classroom. And if not, I guess I would just call on one other person, but again, very curious about the usage of modern technologies. So hopefully, again, some of the resources that we've provided, that you can find one that fits with your classroom, or all our lesson plans we just put on Google Slides. So we try to make it easier to access. Of course, we know that's not always accessible to be sharing your screen with students. The last one I'd like to point out is maybe the, yes, because this is about updated information and misinformation. That's similar. Let's talk about the controversy one. Love to hear from whoever wrote that on some of the challenges they've faced, maybe with controversy.
Hello, Margaret, that was me.
Oh, awesome.
Hey, well, sometimes my students, they come with ideas from TikTok, and I think, they truly believe them. Like the other day, one student said that uh, he wanted to take these wires from a tire, and he said that he saw on TikTok that you can burn a tire in the back of your house and get the wires and then melt them and stuff. And it's like, man, that is like, it's dangerous for you, and at the same time it's like very dangerous for the environment. I mean, how are you going to be burning tires in the back of your house, right? So I think those kind of things is the challenges that I face every day with my students. Sometimes they believe everything they see. And well, we know that TikTok has like editing modes, and you can stop the video and then record again, and these kind of things that are not true. Like what you see is not true. It doesn't take that time, and it's they're like fake videos, and they believe it. So I think that's one of the challenges that I face. Thank you.
That's amazing because one of the reasons why I think, and I'll show you in a bit when I showcase the resource hub, is that this is a great reason why climate change can be taught in English classes, because this is a very good example of media literacy. Understanding the origin and the purpose of a source, to understand if there's biases, to understand what that source is used for, so you can understand the values and limitations of a source. So I'll show you in a little bit how you can access media literacy resources as well. So I'm really happy that y'all are sharing some of these, so I'll know what exactly to focus on when I demo the site. So let me go ahead and go back. Thank you for participating and sharing your thoughts here. I'm going to go back to our slides, and so I want to share subject to climate, and I'm going to also copy this link. It's a bit.ly link, so it's a shortcut. So if you wanted to access it there. So I'm going to show you all subject to climate, but let me go ahead and actually walk through on how you might use it to combat some of the challenges you face. And I know that Eric mentioned that y'all use some of the resources, but I'll just kind of quickly go through some of the new features of what you might want to do. So as we mentioned, we have our resource database. You all had mentioned that some of the biggest issues that you face is knowing if something's credible, and also that climate science data always changes every 5 years. So we actually curate and vet all the sources on here through a scientist task force and an educator task force. So you don't have to go through that pain point going like, hey, is this misinformation that a company is trying to spread? Like everything on here is vetted. So that's great so you don't have to worry about that challenge. The second thing is that we actually maintain the database, and if there's a resource that has that focuses on climate data, we make sure that it is at least at most 5 years old. And so that's, sorry, we had another guest come in. So that's one of the main things with the challenges that you might face that we can help you with. And if there is a resource that references past data, that's fine, because it's just referencing as a past data. So those, hopefully using this will help you. When we heard from Clara about media literacy, what about our kids not knowing like what is credible and not credible? The good thing is that, yes, this is for teachers, and you can choose what subject and grade level you teach. You can even look at skills and teaching standards or resource types, but we've actually seen a lot of students use this. If you look at the reading resources, if students want a place to look at articles, ebooks, or scientific papers, they can use this. Or maybe they want to look at artwork or interactive media, podcasts, or videos, they can use this and know that it's credible. We don't have a lot in Spanish, but you can see like some of our other languages. And I think that there are, 90 resources that have a Spanish translation. So that might be great for you all to know. And also different regions, mostly based in North America. But I think that there are a couple in South and Central America. So if we want a place-based resource. But what I want to show you is that you, for example, Clara, you mentioned media literacy. I think there are actually a lot of lessons for media literacy. And let's say you want to teach really young grades. So let's say you want to teach about it, but you want to teach it in English class because you're an English teacher and you want to teach about it with your 5th grade students. Here are actually some lessons on media literacy. So this one is, and this covers another thing we were talking about, which is about anxiety. So this is a resource from Project Worksharp, and we write a synopsis. So here, students will view a children's book called To Change a Planet and discuss how it makes them feel. And then also about like the messaging around it to understand when people write things, what is their purpose, and look at credibility as well. So this is a good one for media literacy and SEL, so social emotional learning. So here's something that right away you can fit into an English classroom. Or there are some lesson plans that we've written as well, or even editorial cartoon opinions. So you can look at how each cartoon conveys a different message so that you understand that every different thing on the internet has a different purpose. And we add teaching tips as well. And notice that we mention something if it's a little bit older, so you have that information right away. And there's a scientist notes, and then what teaching standards it covers, as well as other related resources. So right away, you can feel prepared and equipped. And another thing you all mentioned, I remember, is that sometimes you all need a little support. Maybe you don't feel completely okay teaching about climate change. So we have a little helper on the side called Climate Socrates. And so if you have any questions, we have articles from MIT as well as our own teachers. So let's say you want to teach about something about, I don't know, ocean acidification, and you're like, wait, I kind of don't know what that is. You can type it up and there's a quick article on the side from MIT to help you. Or if you are worried about, I saw a lot of people talk about climate anxiety. So you can write, what about climate anxiety? So we actually have some articles about, you know, how can I help my students with climate anxiety? Should I say climate crisis? Should I tell my students I'm worried? And you could hear what other teachers have said. So that's a way for you all to use and build confidence, but find a resource that best fits in your classroom. One of the other things we do is we actually work with teachers and train them on a professional learning course, which I'm going to share later on how to integrate it into what you already teach. And then they create lesson plans, and guess what? You get to see what other teachers have created. And so let's say you want to teach a math class and you teach grades, I'll do 6 through 8, and you are teaching about interpreting data or something like that. Here's a middle school math lesson on data analysis written by a math teacher. And this is for grades 6 through 8. And everything is ready for you to use the very next day. You have your slideshow that you can use in your classroom. You have any student materials ready for them to use that you can assign them. And then you have the lesson plan itself. So you can make a copy of it on Google Docs, and you can edit it to fit your classroom and what you all want. So there's this for you and ready to go. So you can see how other teachers are integrating it into what they already teach. One of the things that we're actually, you'll start to see is we're also have created curriculum planning guides. And what that is that you'll be able to see that if you want to teach about counting, here are resources. If you want to teach about operations, algebraic thinking, here are resources. So there's just a host of things that other teachers have created that you can draw inspiration for. Some of you all also talked about timely articles. So these are news articles that students can access anything with sustainability. So, for example, things that are happening now. So you can see that there, was a lot of rain in Oman and the UAE last week. So things that are happening right now. And if you click into it, you can assign it to students. You can adjust it based on their reading level, and it helps reinforce their literacy. But they're also getting current events, and they're starting to learn about what's going on. And you can then continue teaching about it through related resources. So there's news articles. And if you don't feel confident yourself, besides you using like the Climate Socrates on the side, you can actually enroll in our free courses that are listed here on, the basics about climate change, or climate change teaching tips, or how do I develop my own climate change lesson plan. All of these are free that we've created, but you can also look at other upcoming or ongoing professional development. These are different topics you may want to look into, or you want to look at a conference that's coming up, or a workshop that's coming up, for example, or maybe, something that's in person, that's harder because most of it are in the States, but there's different opportunities for you all to identify the best professional development opportunity for you. The last thing I'll show you is all our teacher guides. And in fact, with Earth Day, we've developed teacher guides for people. So for example, here's a reading list for grades 6 through 8. Or a reading list for third through 5th grade. And these are different guides for you. I'll show you two. So for example, if you want to look at a reading list for grades 6 through 8, we have these guides written by other teachers to help you with the reading list. If you want, and our famous reading guide is Earth Day. So if you're still looking for some Earth Day resources, we've created a guide on everything that you'll need, so you can look into the guide. So if you teach grades 9 through 12, here's an activity guide for you to utilize for Earth Day. So I hope that, it's not too late. If you look at our Earth Month calendar, we're still on the 25th, and you can look at which topics you want to integrate into your classroom. So this is an overview and a quick, just how you could utilize our resources. So there's obviously a lot. So going back to getting you all more involved in this, we would love for you to go ahead and try it out. So we're going to do an activity. I put the link into the chat, and we'd love to kind of just, again, it's always available at subjecttoclimate.org, but I just put a quick, bit.ly link. So we can just see how engaged, how much, just to track from this presentation. But, we'd love for you, you can access it for free, but you can register to create an account. And what that'll allow you to do is save your favorites and be able to understand what resources you tend to like. And I'd love for you to go to the resource database or lessons by teachers and try to search for something that fits your classroom, that fits your needs. Search by the keywords or search by the filters. Explore the results, and you can actually save your lesson plan. We'd love to then have you add it onto our Padlet. Oops, thank you so much, Lauren. You're a step ahead of me. So I'll delete what I just wrote because Lauren has everything. We'd love for you to share your selections on the Padlet, and we'll come back together and kind of look at it together. So let me demo what you would be doing. So you would be, again, clicking our bit.ly link. And let me go ahead and share my screen so you can see it. Great. So you would be here. And then again, the instructions say to either go to a resource database or lessons by teachers, up to you. And then actually think about what you need next week or the next month. Maybe you don't need a math lesson. Maybe you need we actually have some world language, very few, but some Spanish lessons. So maybe you want that. Look at what you would like. And then oops, let me actually go back to it so you could see. After you register, you'll be able to actually save the lesson plan if you click here. So that can be saved into your library. And as we mentioned, we'd love for you to then share it on this Padlet. Let us know. Again, there's that link. You know, the saving and bookmarking is for you, but we, to make this interactive and have a discussion, we'd like to see the types of resources that work for you. So you can definitely go ahead and like post and add a comment on some of the resources that you're excited to use. So we'll go ahead and do this activity for around, I'm thinking like, you know, around 15 minutes. So, yes, let us know if you have any questions. And I think we actually have a few folks. I don't know, Lauren, if we still wanted to do breakout rooms or if you wanted to, we have people do it right now. Yeah. Great. I guess we can let people go off and do that, but I'll go ahead and leave my screen share so that you can see the directions. But we'll give everybody around 15 minutes before we come back. So I hope you'll be able to find something. So I'll go ahead and turn my video off. All right, we'll spend maybe like 2 more minutes and then we'll kind of wrap up and do a share out on some of the things that you might use. All right, so as you're wrapping up, I hope that you took some time to maybe identify some of the things you're interested in using, and I'd love to kind of let me go ahead and share my screen in terms of some of the resources that you all have identified. And there seems to be a lot on even like air quality, things on oceans, even looking at something that is from Maine can be applicable. How clothes are made, language arts lessons, and this is cool. I'm curious. This is more of a world languages. You know, a lot of times in the US, we have Spanish is our second language, but a joke is like nobody really knows Spanish even after learning it in school. But hopefully, like this is a lesson plan that would be utilized for people to learn Spanish, but in a way that maybe is more, you know, interesting and more culturally relevant. So I'd love to kind of hear from you all, like, what are some of the things that you found and what are you looking forward like to teaching about? Or maybe you didn't find what you were looking for, and love to also hear that feedback as well. So I'll open it up to you all to share out. Feel free to unmute, or if you are unable to unmute, you can definitely write in the chat as well.
Hi, Margaret. I'm sorry. It's me again. I'm always talking. I'm sorry about that. But you know what I really like? For me, sometimes it's very difficult because I work like a lot of hours. So for me, it's very difficult to get into the computer and look for something that is specific for a specific thing that I want to teach in class. So right now, what I checked was a video. It's a video on YouTube, and how those nature improve the health of the students. We have a subject in the schools in Mexico, which is vida saludable, right? And in this subject, what we have to do now has just changed the name like 3 weeks ago, but it was vida saludable, and it's for us the teachers to teach the student how to live like a healthier life, right? So I think having these resources, being for a specific topic that I want to check, it's great that to have them all together, and search for more topics. No more topics, I'm sorry, for more videos or more resources on the same topic, which is what you have in the website. I really liked it.
And thank you. And, well-being and health, I think we have like a filter for health for lesson plans as well. So that can help you identify some of the themes that you may have to be teaching. So I'm glad that can help. Thank you, Clara, for sharing.
Excellent. Thank you, Margaret.
Great. And I guess, is there anybody else who'd like to share out one of the things that they put on here on why they're hoping to use? I see that we have a lot of high school maybe educators here. I see something on the civics lesson on climate action plan. Love to hear one more person share out why they chose what they chose. Or I can volunteer somebody where, I guess, who put the civics lessons and the climate action. That's one of our newer lessons on, and I used to be a social studies teacher, a high school one, so this is closer to my heart.
Something that I saw that has evolved from some the change from within the years is like now you have the lesson plan for the teacher, but also the different sheets for the exercises for the students. You have like a lot of different guides to really implement the plan, the lesson plans. It's not just the information, it has like a structure, and it's something that I like a lot. As Clara was mentioning, a lot of teachers, they don't have the time to solely invest for the time to put together the class. Although it's not just a resource, it's the whole class, the minutes that you're gonna use. It's a very well-designed class and how to use the material. And something that also I like a lot is that it's not, I share with the team in the morning. We were speaking with one of the teachers in Gage School. We were speaking out like, well, how can you teach mathematics with climate change? And there is a resource about that I shared to her. Like I was very excited to see that is not just climate change. Climate change is how climate change is gonna interact with all the different subjects, which is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, going back to our goal and our vision is that we want to make it easier for you all, for teachers. And I think about when I was a teacher, it's just so hard to fit it into what you already have to teach. So we're actually redesigning our site. So in like a month or two, you'll be able to look at the lessons created by other teachers, but it'll be separated into activities, worksheets, curriculum guides, and lesson plans. So that's upcoming, but thank you, Eric, for sharing. And so with that being said, let me go ahead and wrap it up. I'm going to now transition back to the slides actually. And so thank you for taking the time, and I hopefully you were able to save some time and maybe for some of the next classes that you might be teaching and whatnot. And so here is a link to if you would like to stay connected. You can definitely sign up for our newsletter. And Lauren has as usual, she's ahead of the game. So she has our link to sign up for a newsletter to stay up to date on more guides or lessons or when we're gonna like change things up, and also a way for you to stay connected to us. If you need different types of resources, we will always love to hear from our users. But I guess I'll end it here and I'll pass it back to Eric, or I guess Alex, or who else, to facilitate Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Margaret. And well, before we start with the conversation, I wrote down a few questions for the public today so we can start a conversation. But before, I would like to see if anyone in the public has a question, maybe for Margaret, for Lauren, for Subject to Climate. No questions? Okay, so our first question for the public today would be to share the last time, how was the last activity you did about the environment in your class and how it went, so that we can all share and comment on it. I don't know if Clara or Alan or Edgar want to share a time when you talked about the environment and how it was. Or Chris, you can share with us Kinich talks as well.
Okay, I have a really fresh activity. Hi, I'm Chris. And it was a bucket list that we create for the Earth Day. And I believe that one of the most important things was to listen to each one of the students and their feelings. and concerns about this, and then we try to use it for certain activities that we add up to the bucket list, with the idea to make change maybe in their houses or directly with family, friends, and maybe with the communities.
And how did the students engage in this activity? Do you think there's something you would have changed about it?
Like now, it like opened my mind a lot to see all of the resources, because maybe with more information, they will be a little bit more capable of also adding what's going on in different places and how they like take that information for maybe proposing some of the activities, or maybe like, I don't know, change things and maybe create like our own database about that. I don't know, like different things.
Thank you, Chris. Some people's leaving, I'm saying in the chat that they had to leave at 6. But with the people that's still here, I don't know if Iracema or Alan, you would like to share something? I see that you opened your microphone, Iracema,
Yeah.
but we cannot.
Can you hear
Yes.
me? I have some problems with my
Yes.
microphone.
Now we hear
Hello,
you.
everyone. My name is Iracema Modesto. I am an ESL teacher for grade students, and I am passionate about integrating environmental awareness into language learning. I was thrilled to explore the resources offered by SubjectToClimate, and I am particularly impressed with I was looking the YRB Essentials for Food lesson plan, the multifaceted approach to learning, encapsulating inquiry, investigation, inspiration. I think this aligns perfectly with engaging educational methodologies. And for me, the use of various media in the inquiry state, such as videos and flowers, caters to diverse learning styles, provide an effective means to understand the role of beings in our ecosystem. This lesson plan is clearly outlined and seems perfectly suited for teachers looking to introduce environmental concepts in an engaging manner. The emphasis on writing strategies like claim, evidence, and reasoning prepare students for future academic challenges. It's a privilege to be here today and to have the opportunity to exchange insights on making climate education impactful and accessible. And thank you, Ms. Wang, for creating such thoughtful resources that I'm eager to implement in my classroom. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And again, we're always happy to hear feedback. There's always like a little send feedback. So hopefully it can be useful if there's more things that we can do to help you.
Thank you. And I have a question for you. The question that I have is, what are some creative ways to involve parents and the community in the school climate change education efforts?
Yeah, so what's really interesting is that actually studies show that if I know that they did a study in at least North Carolina, and if you teach about climate change to students, they're naturally going to actually talk to their parents about it, which is pretty great. So that, you know, just by teaching students about it, they're going to get their parents involved. So that's great. But if you want to explicitly do something, I think there's all these really great activities that involve the students doing something where they go back and take inventory in their own household. There are good ones. I think if you even look up energy audit, like kids getting involved in like looking at how much energy their household is using, or they're calculating carbon footprints for their whole family, or even like things like transportation, they're calculating like emissions from like their transportation methods. And while we don't want the students to think that, because it's really hard when you're teaching young kids and you're teaching them about like your carbon footprint on things that they can't control, right? So that's why a lot of the activities is very focused on the grade level that it's appropriate for. But a lot of these like things where the students are going back to their homes and like looking at how they're being sustainable or even compost, like these are all ways to get the parents involved, because when they see their students so passionate about this, it's hard to say no. The second way to get a community involved is for more of the school like projects. So for example, there can be community gardens and students have to, for example, we have great community garden lesson plans, and because teachers who have done this, they get their students involved in creating a community garden in their school. And that's also a lesson plan that they can do. And that's a way to involve community members and even your facilities. So I think there's a lot of ways for students to get involved by doing actions to where they have to interact with parents and community members. So hopefully we do have resources on that, and hopefully that'll help.
Sure, they will. Thank you.
I would like to ask another question. Alex, who just joined the session, she is a teacher that works in inclusion programs like with sign language and different programs to complement and to integrate completely students with some difficulties and challenges in the classroom. So do you have in the SubjectToClimate material designed for this matter in particular? What can you share about that with us?
Yeah, so special students with special needs and learning exceptionalities are something that we haven't necessarily like focused on as much, but it's very important for inclusive education. What we have done is, though, in every resource and like lesson plan, you'll see when I had opened up teaching tips that we have differentiation tips. And so those are ways for people to differentiate based on learning needs. And the second thing is with the news for students, and this is for, it might be helpful, but there's ways to differentiate the reading levels, but that's as far as we've gone into addressing more diverse learners. And that is definitely something that we hope to do more of in the future.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't know if there's another comment or thought to share in the people that's still in the room, or if we switch to start to close the session. Alan, Alex, Lady, Eric.
I'm really, really impressed with I was checking all the different partners that you have that are sharing with you resources, information, lessons, and everything. And it's amazing, Margaret. You have so many, and it has grown dramatically as I have seen 2 years ago, a year ago, and now. And the website looks amazing. It's very well done. And thank you, Margaret, for doing all of this. I think that is amazing and is contributing to have a better place, a better planet at the end. And thank you, Lauren, also for being here. And thank you, Ale, for hosting this session.
Thank you so much, Eric, and thank you so much, Ale, for doing this. And thank you also, Lauren, shout out for helping us get organized for this. I look forward to hearing about your journeys about teaching about climate change. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, with this, we close the session today, and I will send you the feedback email later. I hope everyone can share that with me, and see you in the next masterclass. Thank you very much, and that's it for today.